So let's update with Chicago. And again, there were a lot of deniers out there on the internet claiming this was a false story, not really happening. It did really happen, as predicted, that the Institute of Christ the King would cancel all sacraments, confession, public masses as of August 1st. The story, as has come out, is pretty clear. There were two sticking points. One, the Institute priests had to sign a document saying there was one form of the Roman rite, which again, they would have to deny the rite that they were ordained to say by signing that. And two, they had to comply with Supich's requirement that once a month there's always a Novus Ordo instead of no traditional mass. So here is, we actually had a man I know in Chicago go over to the shrine. So if you don't believe it, here is video footage from his camera of the sign on the door. As of August 1st, all public masses, for those of you who are just listening, I'll go back, I'll read the sign. As of August 1st, celebration of all public masses is suspended. Confessions are also gone, just a sign on the door. And then he went inside to show us the state of the church. It's a tomb. Here's the chapel. Everything's, altars covered up, nothing going on, nobody's there. It's just empty. This was again during the day yesterday. He went there. This was a thriving community from those I know there.
In the midst of a huge building project, right? A restoration.
Yes, in the midst of a big This was a very old church that they had raised all the money themselves to restore. They own the church, so the priests are there. I assume they're still saying private masses. It doesn't, no word about that. I assume they are. Here's a little more video footage he took. Again, it's a big facility. Again, the poor quality. Here's another sign inside the building that he found. Confession times discontinued. There it is. It's just empty. Nothing going on in the midst of, again, that building project. So it is true. And again, they're there living in just probably, I hope, saying their private masses. I hope if people approach them for confession, they're hearing confessions. They just don't have advertised confession times, but we don't know. And a little further update today, as I think Matt alluded to in the introduction, the Chancery has not really done anything.
No public statement.
In terms of public statement.
I sent an email inquiring. I forget exactly. Basically, just asking, what was the reasoning for this? No answer. But they have issued some kind of a statement, apparently, to the local. What is it? The Chicago Sun Times. Sorry, tongue twister.
Yes.
And they say Mass and other sacraments at the Shrine of Christ the King were suspended on Monday. According to Jennifer Blackburn, a member of the Coalition to Save the Shrine, Blackman said the ban came from the Archdiocese under a directive issued earlier this year, but a representative of the Archdiocese disputed Blackman, and this is where they're trying to put a spin on the story, saying the decision to stop the masses was made by the church. And they quote, I'm assuming this is the director of communications for the Archdiocese. It says, quote, they, meaning the Institute of Christ the King, chose to discontinue the masses and sent the Archdiocese a letter on July 31st stating that they would stop offering masses and other sacraments at the shrine, said Susan Thomas, a spokeswoman for the Archdiocese. They were not denied, says Ms. Thomas. Yes. We did not ban them. They chose to discontinue altogether. So they're falsely putting this all on the Institute of Christ the King. And
again, that's like saying the martyr chose, the martyr volunteered to go in with the lions, right?
Right. Exactly.
So here, offer incense to the false god or go in the lions, right?
Right.
That's not a free voluntary choice. They didn't choose to shut down. They said, you will either shut down or you will comply with these two requirements that I mentioned. And they wouldn't comply. So they said, well, we're going to shut down. Again, completely disingenuous, but Supich is playing this public relations game to say, oh, well, I didn't shut them down. Well, again, it's like saying your wallet or your life. Oh, excuse me, officer, I didn't steal his wallet. He gave me his wallet.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that's really what he's saying. It's crazy. Well, and again, we're out of time for the show, really, but as we have documented over and over again, Cardinal Cupich cares nothing about the liturgy. He will allow any outrage. And again, go see our previous episodes with the bubble mass, the crazy Christmas mass that went on. It is a diocese out of control with liturgical abuse.